You got an offer to work at a particular firm for 500 naira per hour. You might decide, you can decide the number of hours that you want to choose that you would like to work. It might just be 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. That depends on you and of course several other factors. Now let us assume that your wage rate increases to 800 naira. Okay, you might still decide to supply more of your labor hours into the given job or the given task. Now what about when your wage rate increases to 1000 naira per hour? What about when your wage rate increases to 2000 naira per hour? So will you keep on supplying more of your labor hours, or you will supply less? So the answers are right in this video. Welcome to Emerging Economics. Today we shall be talking about the market for the factors of production, and what we really want to talk about here is why is the labor supply curve bowed inwards, or in other words, why is it concave? So when we're talking about the so it is concave to the origin. So this is the origin, so it is concave to it. So when we're talking about the concave shape, a way to remember it quickly is just try to envision or visualize a pregnant woman, so the shape of the tummy. Okay, so that is concave shape. I told you guys in the last class that the labor supply curve, a typical labor supply curve, is not upward sloping. It's not just linear in nature. But I promise you guys that I was going to explain that in the subsequent video, and now this is the subsequent video. Okay, here we have this. This is for Betty. Betty happens to be an accountant, and she started with 1000 wage rate per hour, and then she decided to supply 6 hours of labor. Now the wage rates, Betty did a very good job, and then the firm decided to promote her, and promotion of course reflected in her wage rate. So her wage rate doubled. It doubled to 2000 naira per hour. So Betty decided to supply 10 hours of her labor now instead of 6. Okay, and after some time our wage rate also increases to 2600 naira per hour. Okay, that is pretty high. We are talking about the beginning. So it started from 1000, now she's at 2600. And but then what do we discover? We then realize that Betty, look at it, when you trace it to this point and bring it down, Betty is now working for 8 hours alone, instead of 10 hours. So what is happening to Betty? Why is Betty behaving like this? You might think Betty is not rational, but let's just see why Betty might be behaving this way. So now we have these assumptions here. Assumption 1, worker chooses between work, which is labor, and leisure. So worker chooses between, okay, how many hours should I devote to labor and how many hours should I devote to leisure. Now number 2, leisure is a normal good. Of course, when we're talking about the normal good, we are talking about a good that we buy more of it when our income rises, and then a good that we also buy less of it when our income falls. All right. Then number 3, wage increase is on all labor hours. So when the firm came, when the firm's management told Betty that, okay, fine, you've been promoted, now your wage rate per hour is no longer 1000 naira, it is now 2000 naira. So that is to say that whatever Betty was supplying, whatever hours that she was supplying before, if she is going to be collecting double of that on that number of labor hours, or any labor hour that she wants to supply now. So here she was supplying 6 labor hours. When the price increased from 1000, when the wage increased from 1000 to 2000, if she decides to supply still 6 labor hours, then she is collecting double of what she was collecting before. And if she supplies more than 6, that means she's still collecting double on what she was collecting before. So that's what we mean by saying that the wage increase is on all the labor hours. Now, this is what is actually going on. When Betty was receiving 1000 naira as a wage rate, she supplied 6 hours of labor. So what is going to be her income at this point? So 1000 times 6 is 6000 naira. Then number 2, when she started receiving 2000 naira, she increased her labor hours from 6 to 10. When we do the multiplication, it's 20,000 naira. Then when labor hours increased to 2600 naira, she reduced her labor hours to 8. And that gives us 20,800. So instead of the fact that she reduced her labor hours, she is still earning more than when she was working more. So what exactly is happening to Betty? Now remember that I told you guys that she can choose, a worker gets to choose between labor hours and leisure hours. You see at this particular point, when she was earning 1000 naira, remember that I said leisure is a normal good. So if Betty decides not to work, okay, if Betty decides not to work when she was offered a 1000 naira wage rate, that means for every hour that she decides not to work, she will be losing 1000 naira. Now, when I'm saying that for every hour that she's not willing to work, I'm simply referring to leisure. So for if she's not working, of course she's enjoying leisure, because we said she has just two choices between working and not working, or working and leisure. Okay, so in this case, if Betty decides not to work at that going wage rate, that means she is losing 1,000 naira per hour. For every hour of leisure of leisure that she consumes, she will be losing 8,000 naira. Now, if the going wage rate now is 2,000 naira, that means for every hour that Betty refuses to work, you'll be losing 2,000 naira. So that means it is now costly. Okay, it is now costly for Betty not to work. Okay, that is, leisure has become expensive. Okay, leisure has become expensive relative to working, and because of that, Betty decided to increase, that is, to work more. It is better to consume less of the commodity whose price has risen, or whose cost has risen, and in this case it is leisure. Okay, the cost of enjoying leisure, which is the cost of not working, it is now 2,000 naira. It's no longer 1,000 naira. So in this case, Betty is going to consume less of the commodity whose price has whose price or whose cost has risen. All right, whose cost has risen. So she will consume less leisure and consume more of work hours. All right, that is, she's going to work more. Now, Betty's income increases to Betty's wage rate is now 2,600 naira. She has 2,600 naira to herself to enjoy for every hour that she works now. So in this particular case, Betty starts to reason. Okay, 2,600 naira is a lot of money to receive hourly. Okay, hourly, for just doing this thing that I'm doing. So instead of putting in more hours, or even putting in as much as 10 hours, I would just put in less hours. Alright, and that is exactly what Betty is doing. Betty is putting in less hours and she's still enjoying more. Okay, and this kind of explain why, you see, those people that earn a lot, that started from somewhere and they start earning a lot, you tend to discover that they end up not working as much as when they were working, when the wage rate was lower, or when their salary was lower. It's simply because now they feel, okay, they are wealthier. Okay, I could decide to work less than I was working before, and I'm still going to be better off. Okay, I'm still going to have more money, like what we have here. So the gap here is small. We just have an 800 naira gap between here and here. It might be running into several thousands of naira, several hundred thousand of naira, and so it might even be millions based, and so on and so forth. So at this particular point, so this is trying to tell us that there is a limit to which the wage rate or the salary of a worker could be increased, that would be an incentive for that worker to work more. Okay, so when the threshold has been, when the certain threshold has been when the certain threshold has been exceeded, worker tends to work less for every increase in income, or for every increase in the wage rate. So there's a point where the wage rate is sufficiently high enough to make the worker decide that, oh fine, see, I think at this particular point I'm just better off. I've tried along the line. So for me to get to this particular point, I think I should just spend more time on traveling, on seeing the world, on tourism. Let me just go somewhere. Let me just have a nice time with my family now. So we've been working all of these years. So at this particular point, what have we been working for in the first place? We've been working for money, and now I'm earning a lot. So let me just devote more time to my family. Let me go to the cinema. Let me just have fun in life. So it's not going to be about work, and work alone. So that is what happens when the wage rate is really, really high. So it tends to induce workers to work lesser number of hours. Of course, they are wealthier at this particular. If they decided to put in more hours, they will still have been wealthier. But workers decide not to, just as Betty is doing. They decide not to work more again, because what's the point? I have a lot of money now, so why should I still keep dying or slaving myself for money? So that's about that. Now, if there are two things that are affecting Betty's decision, or there are two effects that are trying to influence Betty's decision. We call one the substitution effect, and then the other one is called the income effect. You see, substitution effect is just basically the normal thing that happens. Okay, when the price of something goes up, okay, we consume less of it. So it's as simple as that. And when the price of something decreases, we consume more of it. So that's all about substitution effect. The substitution effect is just telling you the normal thing that happens under normal circumstances. So you see, when the wage is lower, that is when it does not reach that certain threshold, for which a worker would decide to work less, it is the substitution effect that dominates. Now let me explain that. When the wage was 1,000, of course, if you compare this to this, this is lower. Okay, so when the wage was 1,000 naira, and it increased to 2,000. So Betty, leisure is more expensive now. Leisure is more expensive, and because of that, she consumes less of leisure. So that is substitution effect is dominating. All right, she consumes less of leisure, and then she works more. All right, so that's what we mean by the substitution effect. So when the wage is low at the lower region of the wage rate, okay, or before or at the upward sloping portion of the supply curve, as we have the substitution effect dominating. And you see, what is income effect telling us? Income effect is just the reverse of the case. So income effect is saying that, okay, when the wage is sufficiently high, all right, an individual worker decides to enjoy more leisure and then work less. Enjoy more leisure and work less, because this worker in the research of it thinks this worker considers himself okay, wealthy enough, okay, to work less, So at the upward sloping portion of the labor supply curve. Now note that I'm talking about the individual labor supply curve in this video. Okay, we are talking about Betty. We are not talking about all of the accountants in Nigeria or in a given geographical location. So as the upward sloping portion of the labor supply curve, we have the substitution effect dominating. Okay, and as the negative, okay, this is the positive slope. There's a positive slope here. So as the negative sloping portion of the supply curve, we have the income effect dominating. So income effect would make a worker to work less and enjoy more leisure, enjoy more time with their families, and so on and so forth. And the substitution effect will make an individual worker to work more, okay, and consume less leisure, because its price is higher, its cost is higher relatively compared to working. Now, what does this other point mean? Now you see, the third assumption in this particular class is that wage increases on all labor hours. All right, and I've explained that. So you see, there's something called the overtime wage. Okay, the overtime wage. Now you see, there is a way in which a firm could induce its workers to work more for higher wage rates. Okay, so in this particular case, the the general manager just comes to see Betty in her office and says, okay, you've been telling us all this while to increase your wage rate from 2,000 naira. You know, Betty probably has gotten used to 2,000 naira. She wants more. Okay, you've been telling us to increase your wage rate to something higher than 2,000. Okay, now this is what we're going to do. We are going to increase the wage rate, but that would be if you decide to work for at least 12 hours. That is, we need 12 hours of your day. All right, that's kind of half a day. Okay, so in this case, Betty is being forced, okay, to work more hours if she wants the higher wage rate, and that is exactly what is happening here. So Betty is being forced that if you want, we are going to increase your wage rate, but that is if you decide to work for at least 12 hours. Now look at this 1,600 naira, and then at least 12 hours. So if Betty decides to take the offer, so that means she'll be putting in more hours for the higher wage rate. And in that case, this curve then becomes something like this. So you have the labor supply curve, like we just call this LS2. You have the labor supply curve still upward sloping, and by so doing, all of the income effects would be eradicated. Okay, so you have substitution because it is upward sloping all along, and the slope is still positive. So we have only the substitution effect dominating this. We only have the substitution effect dominating. So there is no income effect. So this is one way in which firms could decide to make sure that their workers are putting in more labor hours for every increase in wage. So at the end of the day, we have Betty consuming less less leisure, okay, or lesser leisure, okay, for that increment in wage rate, and then more work hours. So if she decides not to take the offer, okay, fine, she remains here, all right. And if she decides to take the offer, she's here. If she's so so and so forth. So that's exactly what overtime wage does. That's what overtime wage does. So if you have any question concerning this video, I would like you to leave them in the comment section. We'll attend to them as quickly as possible. If you enjoyed this video, click the like button, share with your friends, and hit that subscribe button for more of our videos. We shall be talking about the market for capital in the very next video. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.